Hello, welcome to Pike Creek Farm. I'm so happy you stopped by today. If this is your first time here, thank you so much. I am doing the Three Rivers Challenge this month and trying to not go to the grocery store and use what we have in our house. And this is week 2. I did have to go this week and buy some creamer for coffee. That would have been the revolting point with my husband. But that's all I bought was that and milk. So that was it. That's the only groceries we bought this week. So I count that as a win. This is week 2, like I said. So I was digging into the pantry and the freezer, and I'm really trying to use things from the bottom of the freezer that are, like a year old or that. I don't want that meat to go to waste. There was some things I bought that I was going to can, and I didn't get to it. So I'm trying to use everything up. So it was a good week. We had some good meals. I've learned that I need to always try to keep on a schedule sort of and have a plan of action when I come home from work. And so I have a variety of things. I did use my calendar and put menus down, but I'm trying to not get frustrated if I don't stick to the exact thing, but that I still use from the pantry. And what I discovered is that we have a lot of meals where we have leftovers. What I make us will do for 2 nights and a lunch or 2. So that's been really nice, because this planning ahead and having it ready has really helped in the long run. So here's what's went on this week. We started off Sunday morning with cooking venison sausage, and this would do us for several days. And I cooked some of our hens' eggs. You don't want to use too many of those right now, but we had enough. So here I am cooking one for myself with a piece of the sausage. Then I made 2 loaves of bread to last us for the week, 1 cinnamon and 1 just regular white bread. It's an Amish white bread recipe that I found. I'm not the best bread baker, but I do enjoy it, especially the kneading. So I'm trying to get enough flour in right now, and now I can finally knead it. But I'm not good at doing it one-handed, so I had to put the phone down and continue kneading and getting it into the pans. Here it is ready to go in the oven to rise. And then I did knead it down and put it in the pans, and here's the finished product: 1 cinnamon and 1 regular for sandwiches. And that was our bread for the week. Then for Sunday night dinner, I did a casserole with baked beans and pork chops and lemon and onion and a special sauce. I needed to use those baked beans up. They were coming to the expiration date. And it ended up being dinner for 2 nights and 1 lunch. So I like when I can cook once and eat multiple times. And the roasted broccoli was great. We had juice this week that I had canned grape. And then I made a Mediterranean salad with some canned items with garbanzo beans, artichoke hearts, hearts of palm, and also celery and onion. And I added chicken when I had it for my lunch at work. And there's some fig balsamic vinegar. I love that stuff. And I did some nutritional yeast from a local person. It's flavored. She has different flavors, and she has spices. I'll put her link down below. And there I was at lunch having it at work. And now I am making dinner for Tuesday night, and I used a jar of my home canned pork. And it's ugly when it comes out of the jar, but boy is it good. And then I had canned some black bean soup, and I'm going to add that to it too. I'm going to drain off the broth from the juice, and I drain the broth from the soup, and I drained off the broth from the pork, and I'm going to turn that into my enchilada sauce. So there I am, ready to drain what will come out of the black bean soup. It is sort of thick, so not a lot's going to come out, but I got out what I could, and then the rest will be mixed in with the pork. And here it is, still dripping out. I'm trying to get what I can. Now I added it to the pork, and there's great seasoning in there, and the black beans and onion and carrots and just yummy stuff. So I am mixing that together. I did do a video on that black bean soup. It was part of Canuary, and it's really good soup. I had it one day at lunch for at work too. I put some sour cream on top and some avocado, and yummy. But now I'm going to grate my cheese for my enchiladas. I like to grate my cheese rather than buy the pre-shredded. I think I get more this way, and it melts better, and it doesn't have any additives in it. So this is how I generally buy my cheese, is in big chunks. And if I have extra, I throw them in the freezer, which I think I showed that last week. So I needed to set the grater up, and I was making faster grating that way. So this is after work, and I just want to get dinner in the oven. I'm sure we all feel that way some nights. I had chores to do and take care of the chickens, and just wanted dinner in the oven. So to the sauce that I had drained off from the 2 jars of home canned food, I'm going to add some of my home canned salsa. I had an open jar, and I'm adding some of that in. It's like kind of, and it's sort of spicy, so I was a little worried because Jim doesn't like real spicy stuff, but it added great flavor. But then when I tasted it, it was pretty spicy. I liked it, but I thought, oh, I want him to eat this dinner. So I added some barbecue sauce to sweeten it up and thicken it up. So I had that in the fridge too, and that gave it like that sweet, spicy flavor, and he likes that. He likes the sweet heat. So I made the sauce, and I really made too much, but I've discovered that when I was in the process of putting them together. So I kept some sauce aside for anyone that wanted to add extra, or when you warm them up, sometimes they need more sauce. So I'm trying to get everything incorporated so it's one smooth sauce and not clumps of barbecue and clumps of the bean soup. So now I'm going to start putting everything together, and I'm spraying a square pan with Pam. Oh, I added some more seasoning. I added some garlic. I always add garlic. I forgot I did that. Sorry. So just adding some extra little seasoning in there. Nothing spicy though. And some more barbecue sauce. I was trying to thicken it up a little from that broth. And once this was the last I added. I didn't add any more to the sauce, but it made a lot of sauce. So now I'm using low carb tortillas that I had in the refrigerator that I had bought before Christmas. So making sure they're pliable, mixing up the meat and bean soup. And I put some of the sauce in the bottom of the pan first so that the enchiladas won't stick. And now I'm putting the mixture inside the enchilada, the tortilla, and getting it so it's in a nice line there in the middle. And I'm making them pretty hearty. I'm going to only have 4 in there. So I'm trying to divide that filling up between 4 hearty enchiladas. I thought it would last us 2 nights, but Jim ate 2. So I had 1 for lunch the next day. Now I'm going to put some cheese on top. I like cheese inside the enchiladas too. And roll it up and put it seam side down into the pan. And not spill any out, hopefully, as I'm carrying it over. So I'm going to keep on mixing these up until there's a pan full of them. Here the pan is with all 4 enchiladas. I'm going to put some sauce on top. And I did put too much at first, and I took some out. I tend to do that with enchiladas, and I have to restrain myself. The sauce had really good flavor, though. I was happy with how it turned out, and it didn't let the broth go to waste from the pork or the broth from the soup. So I'm spreading out the sauce, trying to make sure it goes down the sides so that nothing sticks. And I brought over my block of cheese. I am going to grate the cheese on top. And I love this grater. It's from Pampered Chef, and it's just so convenient. I have a box grater too, but I use this one more often. So grate the cheese. We like it cheesy, but do it to your family's taste. And I had enough cheese where I could spare it. You know, I'm sure 2 weeks from now, I won't be that generous with the cheese, and I might regret this now, but hey, I had the cheese, so I made it cheesy. I put foil on that was sprayed with Pam on the underside so the cheese wouldn't stick, and this is the finished result. And it was pretty good, let me tell you. That's why Jim ate 2 of them, and there it is on the plate. I was happy one was left over for lunch the next day. So I made spaghetti pie, and I did do a video for that. It's a vintage recipe of my mom's, so I had a half a box of spaghetti that needed to be used up, so I made this. And it's a pretty easy recipe. It's quick enough to do after work, and it's sort of like a lasagna, but a little different, and it's sort of a special dinner to have during the week, actually. But I had to use up that Hunt sauce, and it wasn't like a huge can, and I did use venison for our meat, and I'm using that big deep dish pie plate to make it in. I had cottage cheese, not ricotta, so I used the ricotta. I drained the extra liquid off of it. And you can watch the video to see in detail how to make this, but it was pretty quick to put together right after work. I have made spaghetti pie out of leftovers after a regular spaghetti dinner too, so it kind of makes the leftovers redone and not the same as the night before. So here I am just putting it all together, the cottage cheese, the meat sauce, and you want to have it nice and thick and meaty. I kind of left some of the more liquid in the bottom, and here's the finished product. And this did us for a couple of dinners and lunches, and it was yummy. There was a close-up of the juice that did seep through, but you let this rest and then you cut it and it's good. I also, on Friday, took 2 bananas that were dark and made some banana oatmeal bread for breakfast, and this has done us for 3 breakfasts. And it was a nice snack too. My husband likes just to cut a piece off and put some butter. My lunch was the rest of the Mediterranean salad with some canned chicken on it. And Friday night's dinner, I used my new rice cooker to make rice and stir fry in the new wok that Natasha gave me. I used up some of our fresh veggies that I wanted to make sure didn't go bad. I just love the bright colors of fresh veggies, and I used some chicken thighs that were in the freezer. And then I made a sauce from some partial jars that were in the refrigerator. I had a stir-fry sauce, and that was my snack when I was hungry on Saturday night before I made dinner. And I'm opening up some of our herbed potatoes, and I'm going to drain the juice off. And actually I saved the broth because it's broth and it's all seasoned. And I put some oil, olive oil, in the bottom of a sheet pan, and I'm going to put 2 pint jars on there so we had some leftovers. And I am draining the broth for the 1 jar, and I will be back. There they are. And I'm going to take a paper towel and kind of pat them dry before I add some more oil. Stir them around in the oil that's already on the bottom of the pan, and I cut some in half that were a lot bigger than the others so they would cook better. And I put these in the oven at 450. Here's some frozen corn I did last summer, and that's going in a saucepan. And I also had a pan of lemon, garlic, green and wax beans that I canned last August. Here I am stirring the potatoes, taste testing one, and they're going to go back in. And at the end, I took them out and I sprinkled panko crumbs on top, and that gave it a really nice crunch. Here is the venison tenderloins that I had marinating. My cast iron pan is hot. This is the last of last year's venison backstraps, tenderloins actually it was, and so I'm going to give them a nice sear in the pan. And there's actually enough left over for lunch for Jim today on Sunday. But it ended up being a really nice meal. Here's the finished potatoes. They get nice and crispy, and those crumbs are so good when you stir it all together, and the bottoms were browned. And there's the final meal. And it was a really nice Saturday night meal, all from our house. And here is my sauerkraut after 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks yesterday. And it was a good week. We had some good meals, and like I said, you can see the video for the spaghetti pie. I did post that a couple days ago, and My husband just finished up the last of it yesterday for lunch. A win-win. And any tips or anything about fermenting sauerkraut? Cabbage to make sauerkraut? Put them below in the comments because I need them. I have my guidelines from that came with my fermenter kit, and I'm trying to follow that. So I'm 2 weeks into the fermenting. So from what I know, I have to go at least 3 weeks, and I think it's looking okay. I don't see any fuzzy stuff or anything funky. So I'm hoping, because I'm looking forward to having that. But I have my plan for next week. I was working on that earlier. I have my menus for the week and things for work, and it's all from what's here in the house. I'm trying to be versatile and not always have a lettuce salad that I'm used to for lunches. You know, trying to be a little more creative. That Mediterranean salad I made this week was really good and did me for several days and even with dinner. So that's the plan for this week, to just keep on using what's in the pantry and the freezer and the refrigerator. Refrigerator's looking good. My plan is to clean all those glass shelves and make it look sparkling clean. So it's good when I can use all these condiments. You know, I love canning condiments and pickles and all that, and we have a partial jar of all of them open up in the refrigerator. It adds up to a lot of clutter. So it is getting decluttered. So that's a good thing. So that's the update for this week. Oh, did want to tell you. Now, I told you last week that my mom is doing really well. She's doing amazingly well. She's in occupational therapy now. She wanted to come home this weekend and wasn't very happy with Dad that he wouldn't bring her home. But she's not there yet. But it's amazing that, 4 weeks ago they talked to us about hospice, and we decided no, to give her more time to recover. And it's such an answer to prayer. I mean, it's really wonderful just to be able to talk to my mom again on the phone, even though she's hard of hearing and I have to yell. I'll take that any day of the week. So thank you everyone for your prayers. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos like this, push the like button and subscribe to my channel. I love to cook. I love vintage recipes, and my favorite thing is canning, and I have some canning videos coming up this next couple of weeks. Tomorrow I'm taking out, well, actually today I'm taking out all my tomatoes from the freezer that I froze, all the gallon bags, and tomorrow is tomato sauce canning day. Stay tuned, there's more coming. So see you next time at Pike Creek Farm.